And so, hello there, and welcome to a new Night of the Movies podcast. And in these podcasts, I talk all things movies and TV and whatever I want for about half an hour to an hour once a week. And today, in this podcast, I'm quite excited because not only am I doing my review of The Crown Season 5, the new season of The Crown, I'm also talking about Indiana Jones 5, or as it's now called, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. But before I do all that, I should say what I say at the start of every podcast that I do, that if you're watching this podcast on Spotify, as not watching on Spotify, God, it's been a long week. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, but heck, you don't have the time to watch the full podcast on YouTube, then you can also listen to it on Spotify at Night of the Movies on that platform. And if you are listening on Spotify, by the way, hello there for podcast listeners, then you can also watch this podcast on YouTube and Night of the Movies on that platform as well. And if you are enjoying the podcast from wherever you're watching or listening from, then please feel free to like, subscribe, leave feedback so I know what to improve on in the near to future as well. And yeah, and I forgot to say, by the way, hello there to podcast listeners, podcast watchers. God, it's been a long week. Hello there to everyone watching on YouTube. I didn't give a little wave to my viewers. And I should also say that as I'm recording this podcast today, it's the 3rd of December. And I think it's going to go out on the 4th of December. So, I thought, I'll just move my table here. Yep, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that I'm wearing a Beatles Christmas jumper. I'm a huge Beatles fan. And also, I've got a bit of a red nose. You know, I'm Rudolph in this video today. I've banged my nose, it's got a bit of a cut. So, I'm actually wearing a plaster on my nose in this video. My nose is actually a bit red. Don't know how much the camera's picking up. But yeah, I'm in the Christmas spirit, somewhat unintentionally and somewhat intentionally with my Christmas jumper. And now we're into December, and there's some great movies coming out, you know, in the next month or so. Some movies I'm really looking forward to, like Avatar 2. I can't wait to see that now. Which is kind of odd, because I'm not the biggest fan of Avatar. I mean, I did kind of do my review of it on a podcast about a month ago or so, of the first Avatar, when it got re-released in the cinema, and I remember really liking it. But at the same time, though, I'm not, you know, I'm just not the biggest fan of Avatar, and so I'm kind of surprised I'm so excited about it, but I'm glad that I am. I know Violent Night is out right now, which means like Die Hard with Santa Claus. I don't know if I'm going to get around to watching that just because I am so busy. I'm not going to go into that. I go into that start of every podcast at the moment, but I realise it's quite boring me just saying and going, I'm busy right now. No, I'm not going to go into that, but I just don't know if I'm going to get around to watching Violent Night. But also, there's other TV shows that I want to watch as well. Like, there's the Wednesday Addams TV show, which, you know, Tim Burton has pioneered, which I haven't seen yet, which I want to. And also in the middle of watching The White Lotus Series 2, which I'll probably do my review of in the next podcast. So yes, I'm watching them right now. I'm looking forward to quite a lot right now, and it's just, it feels like it's a great time of the year. I mean, I'm still very busy with essay writing and stuff, but at the same time though, it feels like it's a good time of the year for movies in particular. At least that's the way I see it. But anyway, like I've already mentioned in this podcast, I'm going to be talking all things Indiana Jones 5, including the newest poster, the title reveal, and also the newest trailer a bit later on. But before I do all that, let's do my review of The Crown Series 5. So The Crown Season 5 is the newest installment, if you will, in the ever-growing story which is currently on Netflix. And now, with Series 5, we've got a completely new cast. If people don't know already, every 2 seasons of The Crown, the cast changes. So in Season 1 and Series 2, you had one cast, which was led by Claire Foy and Matt Smith, as, you know, the Queen and Prince Philip. Then in Series 3 and 4, you had Olivia Colman playing the Queen, you had Tobias Menzies playing Philip, and then now we're into Series 5 and 6, because Series 6 is in the works. I think they're still filming Series 6, which is going to come out sometime next year, yeah. In Series 5 and 6, we've got Imelda Staunton as the Queen, and we also have Jonathan Pryce as Prince Philip. And essentially, this series follows the story of the monarchy in a different age. Like, we see that the public image of the monarchy is starting to deteriorate, and we also see the the public breakup of the marriage between Diana and Charles, and we see the Queen yet again dealing with problems in her past that happened before she was even born that have led to problems in her present, in the present of the show, if you get what I mean. But yeah, that's essentially what Series 5 of The Crown is all about. The main drive of the series has all the stuff to do with Diana and Charles and how that affects the public image of the monarchy, particularly with Charles. And by the way, there's a lot of funny things in this series of The Crown in particular, which are not intentional, I think, which are all about Charles can't be king, and now look, Charles is king. I just find that quite funny. And by the way, I should say here, I'm not a fan of the royal family in real life whatsoever. In fact, if I could decide, if I could choose, there wouldn't even be a royal family. But I'm a fan of The Crown. I have been a fan of The Crown for the first 4 series anyway. I think it's just good TV, it's really well written, and I just think it's really compelling as well, and I think the performances are amazing. I mean, look at people like Claire Foy. She won, I think, she definitely won 1 Emmy for playing the Queen in The Crown, and also Matt Smith, he got nominated for an Emmy. I think Helen Bonham Carter as Margaret in series 3 and 4. She got nominated for an Emmy. She got nominated for an Emmy. So did Olivia Colman. And I think what's his name, Josh O'Connor, who played young, kind of like teenage Prince Charles in series 3 and 4 of The Crown. He also won an Emmy. So clearly, this show is something to be raving about because it's not about the royal family, and it's more just about it's more just a fictionalised version of factual events which have happened in the past. And for me, the draw of this show has never been, let's find out what the royal family is like. It's always just been, let's see this storytelling and let's see the way that Peter Morgan, who's the showrunner of the show, who has been the showrunner of the show since series 1, pardon me there, it makes it into his own. And with Series 5, I yet again think he does a good job. There's been a lot of criticism surrounding this series of The Crown. Mainly that, some people think it's lost its identity. It's not the same series that it was with Series 1 through 4. And I disagree with that. I generally think now more than ever, and I'm going to go on to my second topic in this podcast as well, I generally think now more than ever people are trying to find criticisms with things. And I'm a culprit of this as well. I've done this, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to say I haven't. Often when I watch a big blockbuster, I'll go, okay, what's not working here, if there is anything? And sometimes I will find my nitpicks in those big blockbusters and go, actually, I'm going to make that into something bigger than it actually is. You know what I mean? And I think some people are doing that with The Crown. I think it's just as well written as seasons 1 and 3. Because the thing with The Crown, it seems like the lesser seasons of the show are the odd-numbered seasons, and the better seasons are the even-numbered seasons. Like, what I mean by that is seasons 1 and 3 are very good, they're still really well written, but then series 2, straight off the bat, is compelling, it's gripping, and it's intense. Honestly, season 2 of The Crown, I remember rewatching, I think it was in the summer or something, and I just couldn't believe how captivated I was by it. And then season 4 had this great momentum with it, and not to say again that series 1 and 3 were bad, but series 2 and 4 kind of outdid those series. We had series 1, which was great, it got me into the show, but then season 2 came along and it outdid series 1. And then, series 3 was good again. I'm not saying it was bad, but it was just a bit sluggish, series 3 in my opinion. I still enjoyed it, but I just wanted a bit more from series 3. But then season 4 comes along and it outdoes series 3, and season 5 I think is actually better than series 3. But at the same time though, it does feel in parts that the show is dragging and we're focusing on certain elements we don't really need to in this show. Even to the point that Peter Morgan, who I said before was a showrunner of The Crown, I'm pretty sure I heard that he was planning to initially end The Crown with Series 5 and extended it to Series 6 because he thought he had more of a story. And I can kind of see that, but I also can't, because there are some parts which do feel like they drag a bit, and we don't really get to see much of, characters, and they are characters, by the way, they are fictionalized versions of real people, so we don't actually get to see much of characters like Jonathan Pryce as Prince Philip, I can't even say my words there, as Prince Philip, which I would like to see a bit more of, you know what I mean? And so, I forgot if my point was there. What was I saying? No, Series 5, that's what I was saying. Series 5 is still very good. in the grand scheme of things. But I've got a feeling that when season 6 comes around, when the 6th and final series of The Crown comes around, it's going to outdo series 5. That's what I was trying to say there. Honestly, these podcasts are so poorly planned, but still, nonetheless, yeah, I do think this series is still very good, but I've got a feeling series 6 is going to be even better. But I also feel this series has got a lot of perks, though, like I said before. I think all the performances are great. I mean, Imelda Staunton is probably my least favourite performer who's played the Crown. Who's played the Queen now. I think that Claire Foy still is the best person who's played the Queen of the Crown, and also Olivia Colman grew on me. I didn't love Olivia Colman's interpretation of the Queen in series 3, but then I did love it by the end of series 4. I thought she was just amazing in the show, and Olivia Colman did grow on me with her performance as the Queen. And Imelda Staunton is good in the show, but she's my least favourite interpretation of the Queen so far. Bear in mind, there's another series we got with her as the Queen, so again, like Olivia Colman, she might grow on me. But for now, it's just, she's my least favourite. And also, it didn't help that Claire Foy returned in a little cameo role as the Queen at the start of this series of The Crown. So when she came on screen, I was like, oh, this is series 1. We just accidentally put on the wrong episode. I know it wasn't series 1, it was series 3, episode 1. And I was like, oh, why have they done that? Because now you've made me miss Claire Foy, and now you're introducing Imelda Staunton as the Queen. I don't know, it didn't really work, that, and it kind of made me miss Claire Foy and Matt Smith. Honestly, Matt Smith as Prince Philip. Matt Smith is one of my favourite actors working today. He's slowly growing up there. Honestly, I've loved him ever since I was a Doctor, and then when I saw him as Prince Philip, I was like, yeah, that guy can act. And then you watch him in House of Dragon as well, it's just amazing. But anyway, that's neither here or there. But also, I thought that Jonathan Pryce was great as Philip, though. Again, I would have liked to see a bit more of him. There's one episode which kind of focuses on his story, but not massively. He's not even in that episode that much. I mean, it's kind of his story, that episode, and it's all about horse racing with carriages, I think. It's something like that. And there's a name for that sport, I don't know what it is. But yeah, you start to see him get like a new hobby, and he's in that episode quite a bit, but then the episode more becomes about the Queen's thoughts on that, which is fine, but I just would like to see a bit more of Jonathan Pryce as Prince Philip. I'm hoping we get that in the next series, because we do still see him in the show. He's in every single episode of this series of The Crown, but like whenever he's on screen, I was compelled into Jonathan Pryce's performance. I just don't feel he was on screen enough. And when you got someone like Jonathan Pryce in there, you want to use him well. And I don't know if this series did that. But also, I think that Dominic West is great as Charles. I always know Jonathan West. I always know Dominic West, by the way, as the villain in Johnny English Reborn. Sorry, don't know why I decided to bring that up, but Johnny English Reborn was a film I watched a lot when I was growing up. And he was, well, slight spoilers here for Johnny English Reborn, I don't really spoiled it anyway. He turned out to be the main villain in that film. He's meant to be Johnny English's mate, like his close friend that he's worked with in the business for such a long time, which is odd because he wasn't even in the first Johnny English, but still. Yeah, he's meant to be this person that Johnny can rely on, and then it turns out that he's the main villain of the film. And so, when I saw that Dominic West was going to be in the season of The Crown, I was like, oh, it's Dominic West from, you know, Johnny English Reborn. Most people know him probably from The Wire or The Affair. Neither of those shows I've seen, but at the same time, though, I know him from Johnny English Reborn. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, it's that guy from Johnny English Reborn. But he still does a great job, by the way. I did really enjoy his interpretation as Charles. In fact, we got a lot more of Charles in this series than I thought we were going to. That was a bit of a surprise, and maybe there's a reason behind that. I'm not saying anything, I'm just implying things. But anyway, also we have Elizabeth Debicki as Diana in this series. We have a new person playing Diana. In series 4, it was Emma Corrin, who's now gone to star in a good couple of movies. Emma Corrin, I think, did a phenomenal job, and I think Elizabeth Debicki does a phenomenal job as well. You know, she might not look as similar to Diana as Emma Corrin does. Like, honestly, those moments in series 4 of The Crown, when you're watching Diana, you think, is that actually found footage? You know what I mean? Is that actually archival footage? And then it turns out it's not. It's just the way, you know, Emma Corrin looks when she was playing that role. But at the same time, though, you know, Elizabeth Debicki might not look exactly like Diana, or may not look as much as like Diana as Emma Corrin does, but she still plays Diana phenomenally. Honestly, she really does, and I think she did a great job. And I wouldn't be surprised if she got some Emmys for her performance in this show as well, or got some Emmy nominations, should I say. And also, I liked what they did with Diana's story. I liked the way they left her. I don't want to go into spoiler in case you haven't seen the season of The Crown yet, but it left in quite an unexpected way, because it kind of leaves that story open for Series 6, which I didn't think they were going to do that with Diana's story, so I was quite surprised by that. But also we have a new person playing Margaret. Oh, what's her name? Bugging me now. That's like Lindsay Manville, I think that's what her name is. Yeah, I've only really seen in The Phantom Thread, Paul Thomas Anderson's The Phantom Thread, which I thought was a bit of an iffy film. It just wasn't for me. But she was amazing in that movie, and she's also great here. Maybe not as good as Helena Bonham Carter, and I would have liked to have seen a bit more of Helena Bonham Carter as Margaret in the 2 seasons of The Crown that she did. But I think that Lindsay Manville came in and did a great job though. And also we had a small appearance from Timothy Dalton in there. And Timothy Dalton is my favourite Bond, so that was kind of fun to watch. And also, it's a really well made show. You can see where the production quality is going into it. It's still well written, maybe not as well written as Series 4 and as Series 2, but much like the other odd number series of The Crown, it's still good, but I've got a feeling it's going to be outdone by the even numbered series. And also, one thing I should know before I finish doing this review, this quite poorly planned review, is that a lot of this series of The Crown has been criticised, like I've already mentioned, for not being factually accurate and for being kind of a soap opera and things like that. And what I'll say to those criticisms is that The Crown has always been a soap opera. That's nothing new. I saw a review from someone who said, "Oh, now The Crown has turned into a soap opera." No, it's always been a soap opera. No shit, Sherlock. And at the same time, though, the people who say, "Well, it's not accurate and it's just making a mockery of their story," I don't think it does make a mockery of the royal family story. And also, yes, it's not accurate, but that's never been the draw of The Crown for me personally. The draw of The Crown has always been the drama, you know what I mean? It's always been about who's having affairs, who's doing this. Okay, Prince Philip is doing something he shouldn't be doing. Charles is doing something he should be doing. He's having affairs with Camilla. That's what it's about, really. It's just, I put it down here, it's a dramatization of, it's a fictionalized version of real life events. That's what it is. It's a dramatization of the royal family, and these are just dramatized versions of real life people in the royal family as well. Like, obviously the Queen existed, the late great Queen, and obviously, Charles still exists, but in The Crown, these are fictionalized versions of those people. And so, I think people need to focus on that when they sit down to watch The Crown on Netflix. People who go to watch The Crown for factual accuracy, I don't think are getting the point of the show. It's just good TV. And for me, if you can have good writing and good storytelling and good plotting, then everything is fine. I don't care if the show is accurate or not. I don't care how accurate the show is. Like I said before, as long as it has good writing, then I'm sold on it. And this season of The Crown, for me, did. I didn't think it lost its identity. I don't think it has the same momentum as Series 4 though, which I would have liked it to, but still, overall, it was a good series of television. And that's why I liked it. It was a really good series of television, actually. And so, all in all, I'm going to say The Crown Season 5, I'm going to say it's a 7.8 out of 10. Is there any other things I forgot to mention? I should look at my notes, actually. One other thing I just want to say, actually, as well, is that it does take a bit of time to get adjusting to the new cast. And that happens with every odd number season of The Crown. In fact, perhaps that's maybe why I say that the odd numbered seasons of The Crown are the lesser series. They're the ones which aren't as good. Because you do have to get adjusted to the new cast. And maybe that's kind of a fault of the series as a whole. I mean, saying that though, you couldn't have Claire Foy and Matt Smith still playing, the Queen and Prince Philip. You really couldn't. You could maybe have Olivia Colman still playing the Queen, but even that would be a bit of a stretch. So, I don't know. It just takes a bit of time to get adjusted to the new cast. And that happened with Series 3 as well. It wasn't just a fault of Series 5. It happened with Series 3 because we had such an allegiance and emotional alignment with Matt Smith playing Philip and with Claire Foy playing the Queen, that when Olivia Colman and Tobias Menzies came in, and did great jobs by the way, but when they came in, it just took a bit of time to adjust to. And I think the same thing happens here. And it also didn't get helped that we didn't get enough of Jonathan Pryce as Prince Philip. But still, I liked the new actors that came in quite a lot. In fact, I really enjoyed their performances, but it just took a bit of time to adjust to. And you know, that's not just a fault of this series of The Crown, that's a fault of series 3 of The Crown as well, and even series 1 to a degree, because you're only just getting to know these actors playing these characters, and obviously in the past, other versions of, you know, there've been other versions of people playing the Queen, you know, most notably Helen Mirren as well. So yeah, it just takes a bit of time to adjust to, and that is one point that I do want to mention in regard to this series of The Crown, but still, I liked it quite a lot. I did. I do wish it had a bit more of a momentum, like Series 4 felt it had, but I still enjoyed watching these performances. I still enjoyed watching these stories. I still enjoyed the writing, and I've got a feeling Season 6 is going to be an absolute banger because it'll be an even-numbered series of The Crown. And the even-numbered series of The Crown outdo the odd-numbered series. It seems to be a bit of a pattern, at least for me. And so like I said before, I'm going to say that The Crown Series 5, I'm going to say that is a 7.8 out of 10. But anyway, now let's go on to my... Let's get on to the part of the podcast that I've been looking forward to the most. I'm not alive. I spent a bit too long talking about The Crown there. But let's go on to the podcast that I've been looking forward to the most, and that is talking about Indiana Jones 5, or as it's now called, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, before I get into my thoughts and feelings on the newest trailer and the newest poster and all the stuff that's been released about the film, because I'm also going to be talking about the Empire article that I've got down there by my feet, which has always been about the film and things like that, which was released about a week ago now. So before I get into, details we now know about Indiana Jones 5, I should reiterate here, in case you don't know. I've been waiting for this new Indiana Jones movie for 14 years, and that's not an exaggeration. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which is the longest name for a film ever, but Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was the first movie I remember seeing at the cinema. And I grew up watching Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, and even though I didn't love Raiders Lost Ark as a kid, I've since seen it quite a lot. In fact, I even saw it live at a concert, and now I adore that movie as well. Honestly, I grew up on the Indiana Jones film, particularly Last Crusade, and so I've been dying to see another Indiana Jones movie in the cinema, and just to have that experience one last time, to see these characters back, just to see Indy back. I wouldn't even be bothered if any other characters came back, just to see Harrison Ford play Indiana Jones one more time, and just to hear another new John Williams Indiana Jones score, it would mean the world to me. And so, back after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, that film made a lot of money, and they already kind of announced back then that Indiana Jones 5 was in the works. However, a lot of things happened behind the scenes, like George Lucas sold off, Lucasfilm, who distributed, I think they distributed or might be produced, they funded the Indiana Jones movies. He sold Lucasfilm off to Disney, and then Lucasfilm, I completely understand why. Understandably, they focused on Star Wars because that's more of a money, maker. That makes more money. Obviously, Star Wars does. If you look at the previous Star Wars films, so they focused more on the Star Wars, expanding the Star Wars universe. Now that they brought Lucasfilm, and they kind of forgot about some of the other properties, because not only did they get Star Wars and Indiana Jones when George Lucas sold off Lucasfilm, they also got Willow. And obviously the Willow TV show is on right now. Haven't actually seen any of the episodes of Willow, by the way. I've heard some mixed things about it, but I'm looking forward to watching it because I'm a big fan of the Willow movie. But still, going back onto Indiana Jones, yeah. Indiana Jones, a fifth Indiana Jones movie has been in the works still, though. Even though Lucasfilm, now owns the rights to Indiana Jones, there was still lots of reports of apparently like Chris Pratt coming in at one point, Bradley Cooper coming in, then Steven Spielberg said he was getting ready to shoot the project before the pandemic. Then the pandemic came around and Steven Spielberg left to pursue other projects. Like now, I think after he left Indiana Jones 5, he died to The Fabelmans, which he's getting all this Oscar buzz around. So Spielberg left the project as a director, although he's still attached as a producer. And then in 2020, was it late 2020? Yeah, late 2020, James Mangold, director of Logan, The Wolverine, Ford v Ferrari, and also 3 Tenths of Yuma, and he's directed loads of movies, Night and Day, Girl Interrupted. Such an amazing director comes onto the project to replace Steven Spielberg. James Mangold came onto the project to replace Steven Spielberg as director. We got a whole new cast announced with, Harrison Ford returning, but also we got Phoebe Waller-Bridge announced in the cast, and we had Mads Mikkelsen announced as the villain. And my excitement just went skyrocketing through the roof when I saw the set photos of them filming Indiana Jones 5, and also when I heard that John Williams was returning to do the score. This apparently going to be the last score as well. Like, he's just done the score for Spielberg's new film, like I just mentioned, The Fabelmans, but also this is going to be his last, big blockbuster score. He's done his last Star Wars score with Rise of Skywalker, and now this is going to be his last ever score, it sounds like, as well. He's going to retire after this, which I think is very fitting for him to finish on a franchise that he's worked on for over 40 years when you think about it. So, yeah, I got tremendously excited about it, and I got more and more excited about it as I saw more set photos and heard more news about the movie. And then a couple of days ago, it was about 9 o'clock in the evening, 9:30, and I looked at my phone and I saw that a new trailer had been released for the new Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones 5, by me, or it is now called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And honestly, I watched the trailer and I was just jumping up and down with joy, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I love this new trailer. And I should say here, yes, sure, I'm biased because I'm so excited for this movie. I really, really am. Honestly, I've been looking forward to it so long. It's high and above my most anticipated film for 2023. And so yes, I've been looking forward to the movie so long. So, no matter how the trailer turned out, I probably would have liked it anyway. But I was watching that trailer and it was bringing back all the feels. It did have the feel of Indiana Jones in there. Heck, we see Salah in the trailer once again, with John Rhys Davies returning. And we see all these action sequences going on. We have a de-aged Harrison Ford in the trailer, which I'll get onto a bit later. We see a bit more Phoebe Waller-Bridge. We see a tease of Mads Mikkelsen as a villain. And we see the feeling for what this film is going to be about. In fact, I don't even think we see the tip of the iceberg, though. A lot of people are saying, well, this film, this trailer didn't feel like Indiana Jones to me. Well, I don't even think we get the tip of the iceberg, though. Like, even so for me, it did feel like Indiana Jones. I feel there's a lot more of the film we're not seeing. And I'm really excited about that. But yes, surprise, surprise, I just absolutely loved the trailer for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And also we got a title reveal as well, the Dial of Destiny. I like that title. I must admit, when I first read it, I was kind of like, it's okay. But actually, it's grown on me. And much like the title for the latest Knives Out film, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, I bet it would be perfect for the film. Like, Glass Onion is not a great name for a movie, but when you watch Knives Out 2, aka Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, it makes perfect sense for the film to be named that. And I'm not going to get into spoilers for Knives Out 2, by the way, but that title makes perfect sense. And I reckon the same thing is going to happen with Indiana Jones 5. I don't know for certain, I haven't read the script I haven't heard any leaks or anything like that, but I reckon the same thing is going to happen. I reckon the Dial of Destiny is going to be perfect for this movie. And also, we got a new poster as well. The poster isn't really anything special, it's just kind of like indie, looking down. You can't see Harrison Ford's eyes, but at the same time, his cap is, the Indiana Jones hat is, overshadowing him, overshadowing most of his head, and he's wearing the classic Indiana Jones suit, and also, apparently he's wearing a wedding ring on that poster, one of the posters being released, which hints at the return of Marion. We didn't see Karen Allen as Marion in the trailer, nor have we seen any of the new images which have been released, but I've got a feeling we're going to see her at least in a cameo role in this movie. Maybe she'll be in a bit of can't speak. Maybe she'll be in it a bit more like later on. Maybe she'll pop up at the start of the film and at the end of the movie. That would kind of be perfect. We see Indy retiring at the end of the movie and going off into the sunset with Mary. I mean, that kind of happened with Kim the Crystal Skull. But if the film is more satisfying, I think that ending will be more satisfying. I think the reason that ending with Mary and Indy going off out the church in Kim the Crystal Skull isn't that satisfying is because the movie just doesn't satisfy that much. It's unsatisfying. It is not satisfying whatsoever. But at the same time, though, I got a feeling we're going to see Mary return in this film. But we also see Sally return in the trailer. And, you know, I've put some notes on the trailer here. Let's talk about the de-aged Harrison Ford. I thought that looked good. And I think some people are pointing out saying, oh, it doesn't look that good. But also, you've got to remember that this is only a trailer. You know, I'm guaranteeing that the majority of people who watched this trailer probably did it on their phone, on a little screen on their phone. And so, it doesn't have the same effect when you watch something on your phone as when you watch it on a big cinema screen, or even on your TV. So, I've got a lot of hope in the de-aging. It looked fine in my opinion, and you know, I think it looked good with Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett, and also in Mandalorian. In fact, it looked even better in Boba Fett though. And also, look at the de-aging with Samuel Jackson in Captain Marvel. I'm not a fan of Captain Marvel, but one thing I will say which was impeccable in that movie was the de-aging of Samuel Jackson. If you didn't know, you wouldn't be able to tell. At least that's where I saw it. And so I do have a lot of hope that the de-aging with Harrison Ford in this movie is going to be great. It's going to be seamless. It's going to be like you're watching deleted scenes from Last Crusade or Raiders of the Lost Ark. And on the topic of Last Crusade and Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Nazis are returning. We've seen that in the trailer, we already had hints of that already with set photos, with like a Nazi train which was filming in Glasgow, which looked very exciting by the way. But yeah, we see that the Nazis are back, which makes perfect sense in my opinion. Again, I've heard some people complain about that. I'm completely fine with it. Because if you notice, whenever, you know, they don't do a Nazi storyline, people also complain. I love Temple of Doom though. I love Temple of Doom. I love that it's different. I know that it's a prequel to Raiders. But I also know some people who don't like Temple of Doom though. Because it's not the Nazis. And also, I mean, I know loads of people who also don't like King of the Crystal Skull. Like Lewis, who I often have this channel quite a lot. He's probably a bigger Indiana Jones fan than me. He knows the scripts for all the original Indiana Jones films back to back because he watched them so many times as a kid. I know quite a lot of the lines, but he knows the scripts, you know, like the back of his hand. And even he, though, had a problem with the Russians being in Kim the Crystal Skull. In fact, I know a lot of people which had problems with Kim the Crystal Skull, and the Russians were part of that problem. So, yeah, I love the fact that the Nazis are back. Because it makes perfect sense. All the odd-numbered Indiana Jones movies are going to have Nazis. The first one does, Raiders does, the third one does, Last Crusade does, and now the fifth one does, The Dial of Destiny does. And also, just going back onto that title, Dial of Destiny, I like that they got Destiny in there. I did think for a while they would have the word Last, Destiny, or End in the title. And then there was some rumours about the title a couple of months ago, which I discussed on this channel actually, that was going to be called The Elysium of Death or something like that. And now we have a proper title, an official title, because that was a rumour title a couple of months ago. But now with this official title, I do think having the word Destiny in there makes a lot of sense though. But yes, I love that the Nazis is back. And I also love that we had Mads Mikkelsen, which quite a lot of people might know, as you know, Jyn Erso's father from Rogue One. He was the villain of the first Doctor Strange movie. And also, he was most recently in the newest Fantastic Beasts film, in which he plays Johnny Depp's role as Grindelwald. You know, we have Mads Mikkelsen. He's been in loads of other stuff, by the way, but that's kind of the blockbuster stuff he's been in. But we have Mads Mikkelsen coming in as the villain of Voller. That's what his name is, according to the Empire article, which I'll get onto a bit in quite shortly. But yeah, we have him coming in there. We get a bit of a teaser in the trailer. I would have liked to see a bit more of him, but bear in mind, it's only a teaser trailer. We weren't going to get the full story of this trailer. We weren't going to get proper character introductions and get a sense of what the film was really about. It's just a teaser trailer. It's a teaser trailer to let people know, oh, by the way, we have a new Indiana Jones movie coming out, and it's coming out on June 30th. That's what this trailer was doing. And so I was fine with the fact that we didn't get loads of Mads Mikkelsen. I also like, though, the way they teased Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. When Phoebe Waller-Bridge was first announced as, you know, joining the Indiana Jones franchise, I was a bit iffy. I was like, that's a funny choice, because I haven't really seen her in much. I know she did Fleabag. I watched about 10 minutes of Fleabag. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't my cup of tea. But I haven't really seen her do much, though. And so I thought it was a bit of an interesting casting. But actually, she looked fitting in the film. She looked just like she's perfectly cast. And the rumour is that she's Marcus Brody's daughter in the film, which I think would be perfect. That's not been confirmed, and do take that with a grain of salt, but it would be perfect, and also make a lot of sense, because according to the trailer, we see at the end of the trailer, that Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, Helena, is Indiana Jones' goddaughter, so that makes perfect sense. But yeah, I love also at the end how we have that little nod to Raiders with the sword trick scene where it's Lost Ark and then Indy just shoots a swordsman. We have a little, you know, turnaround of that at the end of this trailer. And I just think the trailer looks great. I think it looks really well shot. I know some people have criticised some of the CGI in the trailer, saying it looks a bit unfinished. Again, the film doesn't come out for 6 months, and it'll look different when it's on a cinema screen. If the CGI looks finished if the CGI looks unfinished when the film does properly come out, then you can have your criticisms. I feel though saying CGI is unfinished in a trailer is a bit unfair, because there's a moment in the trailer when you see somebody under the water and there's some CGI eels, and I saw someone complain about that on Twitter, and I just went, why? You couldn't actually use real life eels properly, because that'd be so hard to do. So I was absolutely fine about that. Some people don't like the digital kind of look of the film as well. They think that the big you know, parade sequence in the trailer looks a bit fake, and again, wait for the film to actually come out. But in my opinion, it doesn't look fake though, and you know, I've got complete faith in James Mangold, who's coming in to direct this movie, because yeah, sure, it might not look the same way, you know, in terms of framing, in terms of shot composition that, you know, the original three Indiana Jones films did, but at the same time though, I've got a feeling that that'll be all made up, because I've got a feeling that James Mangold's really going to bring the feel back to this Indiana Jones franchise. And also, some people are saying they're not hearing enough from the new characters, like what he mentioned. Again, it's only a teaser trailer. I think we're going to hear a lot more about them as future trailers for the film come out. But just before I end this podcast today, I also want to discuss the fact that I have the Empire article, which actually has Indiana Jones in the front there, little thing for the YouTube viewers watching this video. If you're listening to the podcast, I've got the Empire article. On the front of the Empire article, it has an image of Harrison Ford in his classic Indiana Jones suit, looking very Indiana Jones, if you will, looking very Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. And basically, when you open up the whole section of this Empire article, which is all about Indiana Jones, it literally says the year is 1969. So we know this film is now set in 1969, and apparently it's set on the moon landing, which I'll get onto shortly as well. But here is what Kathleen Kennedy, who's the head of Lucasfilm, who's producing this movie, so executive producer on this film, has said about the new Indiana Jones movie and how it came to be. This is what she says. It was something Harrison Ford, obviously, it was something Harrison very, very much wanted to do. Steven Spielberg was kind of off and on about it, but we all felt that if we could conclude the series with one more movie, given the fact that Harrison was so excited to try to do another one, we should do it. And then this is what Harrison Ford said about the production. I didn't feel it was necessary to do another one. I just thought it would be nice to see one where Indiana Jones was at the end of his journey if a script came along that I felt gave me a way to extend that character. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting that Harrison Ford seems to be the driving force with this Indiana Jones movie, and I'm really excited about that, because he hasn't always been... Sometimes when you see Harrison Ford do press, it doesn't seem like he's totally sold on what he's doing press for. But it seems like he's quite excited about this movie, the fact that he was kind of the driving force. But anyways, also interesting in this Empire article, though, is what Kathleen Kennedy, who was also a producer on the last Indiana Jones film, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, says about the reception to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So, This is what she says in the case of Indiana Jones 4. You never set out to do anything except make a great movie. And sometimes you hit that perfectly, and sometimes you don't. In the case of Indy 4, I don't think there's any specific thing that any of us look back on, except that we may not have had as strong a story as we wanted to. So I think that's the first time anyone really spoke, really spoke about any criticisms to the film as well. Like, I know Spielberg's come out and said that he didn't feel that the MacGuffin, the whole stuff to the Crystal Skull, was as strong as it should have been. But still, it's kind of interesting to hear different perspectives. Someone who also works in the film saying why they thought it didn't work out as well. But also, here's what it says here about replacing Steven Spielberg. Replacing Steven Spielberg seemed a daunting as switching whatever. Okay, yeah. And basically they came to James Mangold, and he says this: they came to me and I was preparing to do The Complete Unknown, which is like a Bob Dylan biopic, and we were all getting hit cold at the time, and it looked like the Dylan film was not going to happen, and so they came to me, the trio of Harrison Ford, Rob Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy, and I was first a little startled. However, apparently James Mangold and Harrison Ford had become friends over time, because James Mangold produced the Harrison Ford-led movie The Call of the Wild, which I thought was okay, and also apparently before this movie was ever in production, or before James Mangold was attached to it, Harrison Ford had actually been offered a role in Ford v Ferrari, which is James Mangold's latest film, which is kind of interesting. So James Mangold was one of the first picks to do this new Indiana Jones. Okay, so this is also what James Mangold says about approaching the movie with an aging action hero. So he says that it became really important to me to figure out how to make this movie about a hero at sunset. The issues I brought up about Indy's age were not things I thought were being addressed in the material being developed at the time. There were old jokes, but the material itself wasn't about it. To me, whatever your greatest liability, you should fly straight towards that. If you try and pretend it's not there, you end up getting slings and arrows the whole way. So it's quite exciting that they're making the movie, according to James Mangold, the director. It's quite exciting that it started to make a movie about Indy going gold, which I think is a really interesting way of taking this story. But also here they say about the fact that Indiana Jones is being de-aged, and this is what Ron Marshall, who's executive producer on the film, says. He says, now you can just put the character in a time period you couldn't before. It's kind of amazing. My hope is that although it'll be talked about in terms of technology, you can just watch and go, oh my god, they just found footage. And so that was all about the de-aging. Fingers crossed it works well when the actual film is released. And also, what did they say here? They also mentioned Marion in the article, which I think is very notable, because even though she's not in the trailer, she's talked about in the article, which makes you think that she is going to be in there. But anyway, let's see what else they say in this article. Sorry, this is poorly planned. This is what Phoebe Waller-Bridge says about her character that she's playing. She's a mystery and a wonder. And Kathy was in London and asked me to have dinner with her, and as you mentioned this, I immediately ordered 10 bottles of wine. Then it was the fastest I've ever read a script. I came out of sort of a haze after. I just couldn't believe how much fun I had and how moved I was by it. And then I had Zoom and screamed yes to them all. So that's how Phoebe Waller-Bridge accepted the role. But also, if we go on here, onto the next page, we can also learn a bit more about the fact that Nazis are back in the film. So, this is what one of the writers says about the movie. The fact is that the moon landing program was run by a bunch of ex-Nazis. How ex they are is a question, and it gets up in Indy's nose. And I didn't actually know that, by the way, until I read this. The fact that, the Nazis actually worked on the moon landing. That's a fact. And I love the fact that they're actually diving into that as new Indiana Jones movie, and I think that's kind of the perfect way to bring up Nazis, in my opinion, with this new film. And also, it says here, one of the inspirations for the film's big villain, Voller, was Werner von Braun. I might be pronouncing that guy's name wrong, but who cares? He's a Nazi. Nazi aerospace engineer and co-creator of the V-2 missile who worked on moon landing. And also, this is what Mads Mikkelsen says about the villain he's playing. He's a man who would like to correct some of the mistakes of the past. There's something that could make the world a much better place to live in. he would love to get his hands on it. I'm guessing that's the Dial of Destiny, which is referred to as in the title of the movie. Indiana Jones wants to get his hands on it as well, and so there we have a story. And there's some other things I've said in the article as well, like Boyd Holbrook, which most people know from the Sandman TV show. He played the Corinthian in there, but also was in Logan. He played some of the Metal Arm. I haven't seen Logan yet, I should say. But so Boyd Holbrook, who apparently been playing like the henchman in this movie, says, "I'm a lapdog to Mads, and a crazy one of that. They just found the cleverest way to continue the story and keep that integral villain." Apparently he's a Nazi in the film. But this is also what Spielberg said about giving advice to James Mangold in the film. He said, "It's a movie that's a trailer from beginning to end, always be moving." And that was the advice Spielberg gave to Mangold. And when the article is wrapping up, much like I'm wrapping up now because I just realised I've got somewhere I need to be like right now. But so yeah, I'm hurrying up this podcast, so apologies if I'm going through things a bit too quickly, but this is what Harrison Ford says about the new Indiana Jones movie. He says, "It's full of adventure, full of laughs, full of real emotion, and it's complex and it's sneaky. The shooting of it was tough and long and arduous." I might be pronouncing that word wrong, and apologize if I am, but I'm very happy with how the film turned out. And that is what the Empire article has to say about the new Indiana Jones film. And I, for one, am very excited to see how it's going to turn out. I think it's going to be an absolute blast. I hope it's going to be. And by the way, I didn't do this intentionally, but yesterday, and again, this is more of a treat for my viewers watching on YouTube, I actually picked up an old Han Solo Black Series figure from The Force Awakens. And then as soon as I picked up, I thought, how ironic at the time, because the new Indiana Jones trailer was released, and apparently they also released some Black Series Indiana Jones figures, which I can tell you now, they're getting my money on when they come out. But anyway, I'll be spending my money on, should I say. Getting my money on, spending my money on. My God, it's been a long week and I'm absolutely shattered. But the Indiana Jones 5 trailer, the trailer for Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, made my week. I will talk about it more extensively on this channel, probably with Lewis as well, because he's a huge Indiana Jones fan. As well, like me, we both talk about Indiana Jones loads on the channel. We both also did a review of Kingdom Across the Skull on this channel together. So when I next come to the channel, we'll probably talk extensively about it together. And I will be talking about it loads more in the future. But for now, I've got places I need to go. So I'm going to round this up by saying that the trailer for Indiana Jones 5 looks amazing. I can't wait for the teaser trailer. Looks amazing. Fingers crossed we get more about the story in the next trailer. But I doubt we're going to get the next trailer to like March this way. But this is enough to satisfy me. I'm really excited what I've seen. I'm really excited what I've read in the Empire article. Hopefully you guys heard some of the Empire article as well, which you didn't know beforehand. And yeah, please let me know your thoughts on the Indiana Jones 5 trailer as well, or the Indiana Jones 5 title, or the Indiana Jones 5 poster. Do you like what you've seen about the new Indiana Jones film? Or maybe a bit iffy on it. Whatever your thoughts, let me know in the comment section below. But for me, I'm loving what I'm hearing and seeing about this film, and I'm dying to see it. Even so, it's still 6 months away. Is it 6 months or something? Yeah, let's say it's 6 months away. Even though it's about 6 months away, I can't wait to see what it's been made about. I've been waiting this film for 14 years, and I've got a feeling it's going to be something truly special. Anyway guys, that's it for the podcast today. Thank you as always for watching, or thank you as always for listening, wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast on. If you haven't yet, please feel free to like and subscribe, and also leave some feedback so I want to improve on in the near distant future. And also, if you want a topic discussed on any of these podcasts, let me know in the comments section below, and I'll probably talk about it on my next podcast. But until then guys, thank you like I said before, and I'll see you guys probably this time next week. So, yeah, that's it. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye.